Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Cassidy. If it's not, thanks for always tuning into my videos. Today we are doing my magical Readathon TBR. So I have a course, a program to take at Orilium Academy, and I figured we would go through my characters' classes and what I'm reading for each of them to pass. I remember nothing about my character, so I'm just starting from scratch in my head, and I've made myself an elf because I love elves, and that's pretty much all I know. If you don't know, Magical Readathon is a readathon created by G over from Book Roast, and it's very, very in-depth, so I'm really not going to explain it, but you create a character and you go to school, and you have to pass your classes for your career. So for my career, I picked Rift Architect just because I also run a readathon called Realmathon during April. This year for Realmathon we have 4 realms which are converging on one spot in space and time, and they are ripping time and space apart to be the last realm standing. So we are literally making rifts in Realmathon, and so I thought this was the perfect job to kind of like correlate between both readathons, and it just fit really well for me. So we are doing the Rift Architect career. What this means is Rift Architects open portals for either themselves or others, allowing for travel across Aledia. To do so requires a high level of focus, precision, calculation of variables, and knowledge of geography. A slight miscalculation can result in portals closing before those inside have crossed the bridge between realms, trapping them in the in-between or even ripping them apart. G has a whole document that goes over each career, and there's so much detail put into it, so highly look at checking that out, but we're just going to go over my personal reading TBR. Key traits for this are curious, defiant, and brave, so if that helps you out. And for the spring equinox, which is what we're in right now, I need to take astronomy, inscription, spells and incantation, sonics and divination, and conjuration. So here is my TBR. For astronomy, the prompt is a title with 2 E's in it. This was harder than I thought it was going to be. This book is, I believe, the only repeat that shows up on this TBR and my Snakes and TBR Stacks video. It just worked really well for this, which is a Shadow in the Ember. I'm now looking at this and I'm unsure if this actually works. I just assumed it had to have at least 2 E's in the title, but does it mean it can only have 2 E's in the title? I'm unsure. But now I'm just going to go with this, and I'm going to go with the concept of at least 2 E's in the title. It doesn't really say, it just says 2-letter E's in the title. I don't know. We're counting it. Shadow in the Ember is the next prequel series to the From Blood and Ash series, and I do have to read this before I can continue in the From Blood and Ash world. This follows the First Maiden, and I think the god and how that happens. And if you don't know, the From Blood and Ash series follows Poppy, who is a maiden, which means she can't be touched. She's not allowed to like indulge in herself. She's not allowed physical stuff. People can't even like look upon her. She has to stay like very, very like Virgin Mary. And she has a new guard in town that kind of makes her start to question these things and what her purpose in life is. And I'm really excited to get to this series. I've heard people say that this book is back to where the first couple books in the From Blood and Ash series are like, and I'm very excited to get to it. It's been a long time coming. 2 E's in the title, even though technically it has 3. So hopefully that's allowed. And for inscription, the prompt is a book from your top shelf, or like your highest shelf. I have higher shelves than what you see here, so we went with Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson, which is book 3 in the Skyward series. I really, really need to continue this, and I figured this was a perfect time. It is on my highest shelf in my bedroom. And this follows Spencer, whose dad was deemed a traitor. He was a pilot, and something happened, and he's now a traitor, and he died. But now Spencer lives with everyone thinking her dad's a traitor, but she doesn't believe that it's true, and she has to prove herself, and she wants to become a pilot to prove that her dad was innocent, and also that she can be just as great and not be a traitor, because kind of people just think about you the way they think about your parents in this world. This is a YA sci-fi. I really enjoyed the first 2 books. I don't know how I haven't continued. I am an odd one where I like loved both of the first 2. I gave them both 5 stars, but I've heard this one isn't the greatest. But I'm excited to try it out. Brandon Sanderson is typically a 4 or 5-star author from me, so I'm expecting great things from this one, and I think it fits perfectly. Time to finally get to it. I love this cover. Then we have spells and incantations, which the prompt for this is target length. Read a book 389 to 415 pages, which was really, 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 really hard. But for this, we went with The Weight of Blood, and I'm very, very excited to get to this. My copy is 406 pages, so it does fit that target length. This is a Carrie retelling. It's going to be a heavy hitter, I believe. It is a horror book, and it is following a school in, I think, 2003 in Georgia that literally still has biracial proms, and it's not false. Like, this is a true statement. This was a fact that still in that modern of a time we were still having segregated proms and things like that, which is just terrible. And we're gonna follow a lot of the white privilege and the racism and things that happens within the story and to our character. I'm very excited to read it. I've just heard how much of a heavy hitter it is, and I tend to like when a story has these conversations and things, and I'm very just intrigued by it, and so many people I know love it. It is a YA horror. I'm so excited. Uneasy Lies the Head That Wears the Tiara. I also just love Carrie. I never read the book, but I liked the movies, so excited to read this. And then we have Psionics and Divination, which is the course focus, I guess I should have told you guys this too, is Cloud Study 101. So we have a book with clouds on the cover or in the title. And this could be a bit of a stretch, but I'm going with The Haunting of Leigh Harker. I knew I wanted to read a Darcy for my horror week in Realmathon, and this has like fog up here, and I feel like this kind of counts as cloud cover to me, so I'm going with it. And this is another one of Darcy's haunted house stories. We're following Leigh Harker, whose quiet suburban home was her sanctuary for more than a decade until things abruptly changed. Curtains opened upon themselves, radios turn off and on, and a dark figure looms in the shadows of her bedroom door at night, watching her, waiting her to finally let down her guard enough to fall asleep. Pushed to her limits, but unwilling to abandon her home, Leigh struggles to find answers, but each step forces her towards something more terrifying than she ever imagined. I'm very excited. This says, sometimes the dead reach back. Do you think you're safe? You're wrong. I always love Darcy. I find her books are like a comfort for me. She's a comfort author, which is interesting considering she's horror, but I just like Brandon Sanderson. I always know that I'm going to enjoy a Darcy Coates book for what it is. So I have two like very high potential books on this TBR, so thank you to Orilium for this. And last we have Conjuration, which the prompt for this is recommended by a friend. I have a bunch of options for this, and I'm leaving this one quite open. I think what will happen is it'll end up being one of the Realmathon host favorites because these all count as recommended as a friend for me, and I think for you guys too. You can definitely count me as a friend. So I'll probably read one of those, but there are other contenders such as Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, Parasite by Darcy Coates, some fantasy books, things like that. I know I do want to get to House of Hunger throughout Realmathon, so I'm guessing that'll be my host favorite and the prompt I pick for this, but I definitely have so many options for recommended by a friend that I've just decided to leave this prompt quite open for myself and mood read it throughout the time. Because my focus is Realmathon and not Magical Readathon, I will be letting myself change books on here if I don't get to, let's say, if I don't get to like The Weight of Blood for some reason, I will let myself put another book that fits this prompt, although like I'm getting to this, so this was a TBR made because I want to get to them and I have plans to get to them in April. But I am letting myself just be a little bit more flexible with the prompts here, just so everybody knows. But this is my current TBR, or MBR, I guess, if you would like to call it that. Anyways, I'm very excited for Magical Readathon, my little elfness, and I got my like school attire on. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to pass this class. I'm ready to make it to the autumn semester, and yeah, if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me some kind of like school emoji, whether it's a desk or a pen or something like that, since we are going back to school. And then if you are participating in Magical Readathon, let me know what career or path you're taking down below. If you'd like to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, and my Patreon, all linked in the description bar below. Have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.